Hi, good evening. Can you all hear me? Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Today we are going to see the last chapter, economic cost. Before that, any doubt or anybody hands-on with the previous problem or any previous chapter questions or anything? If any question, if no question, we will start with economic cost today. Uh, actually, here what I understand, this is chapter recently I added because I understand from the candidate saying about some people said two question received, some people say one question received, some people say zero, they didn't get any economic cost calculation questions. So I would say averagely one, maybe you don't get possibly. Yeah. So that's economic cost, which is going to talk about time value of money. This cost is different from PMP cost. PMP, they're talking about the project cost, right? Earned value, actual cost, CPI, SPI, and everything. But here it is talking about the cost, like depreciation, operation cost, and net value of whatever the investment made it. That kind of cost analysis it will help. The economic cost analysis will be performed to study the feasibility of the project, or either I would say feasibility of economic feasibility of the alternative, because I have a two option or three options, which one I have which is economically worth. So that kind of cost analysis that will help in the decision making process. So these four are now what we saw about the different cost. The same way here they're talking about the different economic cost, which are not really actual cost, but this has to be considered when you really analyzing the economic feasibility. You can take all your direct cost, whatever material, labor cost, these all the direct costs you have to consider it. But when I'm going to analyze two alternative, which is going to be more worth, at that time there are some economic costs element, so that you have to consider, like opportunity cost, sunk cost, book cost, incremental cost. Opportunity costs that represent the foregone benefit by choosing one alternative to over another, because I have a two alternative and which one I have to choose. If I choose A, then there are some other benefit I missed out because of choosing A. Yeah, the other opportunity come from the B. That I missed out, right? That you have to give a value or factor to really calculate the economic feasibility. That's what here they're talking about. For example, in a building the hospital in a vacant land, the city has forgone the opportunity to build a sporting center on the land, so a parking lot, or the ability to sell the land to reduce the city's debit. So if the city is decided to construct a hospital, but at the same time the city can go for any car park or commercial buildings for renting out. So from that they can create a revenue. So that kind of opportunity it is missed out. So when they are going to analyze the alternative economic feasibility analysis, that kind of the missed out opportunity cost should be considered. So opportunity cost, you can only take the two alternatives, some of the available alternatives and the best alternative. So that one only you have to think. Sunk cost. Sunk cost means whatever you have spent already. For some time, no, you may have given a protocol, prototype. Prototype means it's a model, right? Some kind of model you make it, like for example, software or automobile industry, or even if you think about the plant and all, there's a absorber material, like the packing material. So these are the things they will give like a model to let it try. So this kind of cost, that's called a sunk cost. Before getting a confirmation about the final one, we are spend some money to make a model in order to make a decision. So these are called sunk costs. Sunk cost is already spent for the virtual past decision. So these costs also you should consider when you are really evaluating the economic analysis. The alternative feasibility analysis, when you perform it for each and every alternative, if any sunk cost is made, that also have to be considered. Third is called a book cost. Book cost means in your company firm book, what is the cost, right? So that is really the total cost minus the depreciation. So assets are carried in the firm books at the original cost less any depreciation. Depreciation is also not really a cost, because whenever your company have a revenue income, the depreciation will be deducted, because the depreciation means it's a value of asset, that some percentage of value of asset that can be deducted from each year. That's called a depreciation. That's called a final firm books value, original cost less any depreciation. Incremental cost, generally you can consider, but we know already incremental means there is a jump between a two alternative. For example, they have given three equipment costs. One has annual maintenance cost is 2,500, another one also 2,500. So between A and B there is no incremental cost, but between B and C or A and C there is $1,000 incremental cost. Increment cost is the difference between the alternative, the cost difference between alternatives. So you can either take the same 2,500 or you can say $1,000 different from A. So that you can add it as an incremental cost. Now, when you're talking about the cost, there are four changes can happen: inflation, deflation, escalation, currency variation. Right? Inflation means it's a price increase due to some commodity price or some margin. Right? We have some standard price that will increase. That's called a inflation. Deflation means price decrease is called a deflation. Why the price will increase? Because of sometime money shortage in the market, right? Because of your central government or central bank, they have decided that's a money shortage that will make the price increase. Then if any import and export goods, because of the exchange rate, the price increase. Demand pull inflation. Demand pull means less product available in the market, but more demand. For example, new phone like an iPhone, Samsung, or new model is released, then immediately the cost is high. Then after 1 month, 2 months, you can see the cost is really less. Because why? Because the number of product available is less, the demand is high. That's called a demand pull inflation. Inflation means price increase from the standard level of a particular price. Cost push inflation. Cost push means manufacturer side there is a cost increase. That's called a cost push inflation. This is what they hear. Money supply. Suddenly there is some shortage of money, or some central bank they influence the money value increase or decrease. That's will cause the inflation. Exchange rate, demand pull, cost push. Deflation is a price decrease. The same the reason can the same driving force of inflation will cause the deflation also. Deflation means price decrease. Inflation means price increase. Escalation. Very interesting thing is escalation when you have a contract, right, between you, the client and contract. This escalation will be this escalation clause. You can see in the contract also. Right? So the escalation will be used if between buyer and seller. Right? They have a contract and they have agreement for 5 years. In the first year they said about some price $1,000 or $10,000. Second year onwards, every year 5% increase. That's called escalation. Sometimes de-escalation also possible because the decrease in price. So use the escalation technique. Escalation or de-escalation clauses is incorporated into the contract. So the purchaser will compensate the supplier in the event of price changes. Escalation or de-escalation clauses help to shield both the supplier and also the purchaser from unpredictable cost changes. Right? If there is any cost changes occurs, if you have escalation clause, we can say there is a plus or minus 2% is a allowable escalation clause or de-escalation clause that you can mention in the contract. Currency variation generally it's for your import and export good. Okay, now we are going to see the depreciation. Depreciation means we are evaluating the asset. Yeah, somebody asking.
Currency variation is you mean the exchange rate or
the money value? When you compare to US dollar, that's when you are dealing with the multinational business. That's a more likely exchange rate, we would say. Multinational basis. Now, if you're having one or more countries, you have a different transaction in different currency. If I am having in my own contractor or supplier in the same country, there is no currency variation here. But $10 means is a $10. 10 real means 10 real. But if I'm going to deal with the 10 real versus my vendor is in Europe, they in euro, right? So there is a currency variation that will affect when you deal with the multinational transaction.
Okay.
Next is the depreciation technique. The depreciation means where each and every asset you have to depreciate a certain amount every year. But if you say if I buy a asset means anything, property or flat or car, any we will say some fixed expense or capital expenses. Some significant amount you have invested, that one you can depreciate out over the life period of that particular asset. So the life period is defined. If it is a property or 15 years, if it is a car, it's a 10 year, that kind of a life period is defined. So how I can depreciate that particular asset? So there are standard method available. These are the country standard also, because there are every country has accounting practice. So they are having a standard available. US standard also available, Indian standard also available, or all the standard they have they have accepted this kind of method also. There is a straight line method, double decline method, SOID method. MESCRS, you no need to worry, that's only for US. So that's no need to talk about for UPDA chemical. The first three, straight line, double decline, DDB and SOID, very commonly used in all depreciation calculation. What is straight line method? Straight line method formula is D equal to C minus S divided by N. C is my initial investment. S is a salvage value. N is your number of life period. There is a salvage value, scrap value, these are there, right? Salvage value means after the life period of that particular equipment, there is some value remains. For example, if I have a car is a 10-year life. So the 10-year life, after 10 years, there is still some value it holds, second-hand value, we can say. Right? So if it is within that 10 year, it is still being used. Right? As per the manufacturer norms, 10 year is the life period. Within the 10 year, if you are selling as a, it's not called a salvage value. It's called a residual value. At the particular 5th year, I am having that much value. So that's called a residual value. But when you're talking about the salvage value, means the life period is over, but still that asset can be utilized. So then we have to set some kind of value as a base. That's called salvage value. That also should be derived from various factors, like your manufacturing of that particular property, like asset or equipment, the mechanical parts involved, or usage involved. Based on that, the salvage value will be determined. There is another one is called a scrap value. Scrap value means after the life period of that particular asset or equipment or machine, it cannot be used at all, right? It is, I can't use it. I'm going to just make it as a scrap. So that has a scrap value. You can take some kind of a value that's called scrap value, because some many countries like US and Singapore and all, they a car and all, they say about 15 years is the value. After 15 years, you can't use the car in the city or in the country. So you have to go for a scrap. So at the time, scrap value, they will evaluate, they'll give us some amount. So that value, you can take it as your income, revenue. So that you can use it to buy your second-hand, next car when you want to buy, whether a new car or second-hand car, you can use it. So that scrap value is like, after the life period of equipment or machine, once it is not at all being, used. That is scrap value. Salvage value means this also after the life period, but still that asset can be utilized with some efficiency wise, you can utilize. That's called a salvage value. So any equipment you cannot depreciate below than the salvage value. For example, they have given here 10,000 is the initial cost. right? 2,900 is a salvage value. So you cannot depreciate out less than 2,900. That means total depreciable amount is 10,000 minus 2,900. 7,100 only you can depreciate. So 7,100 divided by 5. Right? That gives your per year value. That's what here, if you see here, C is a 10,000, S is your salvage value divided by 5. So 10,000 minus 2,900 divided by 5. What is answer? How much you are getting?
1,450. 1,450.
1,450 every year, the asset, particular asset value will increase. For example, 0th year, it is a 10,000 I invested. The first year, 10,000 minus 1,450, something around 800 and 8,600 plus. So second year, again 1,400, you have to minus from the 8,000. Third year, again you have to minus. So until fifth year, it should reach a 2,900. So you cannot depreciate below the salvage value for any asset. So this is a simple straight line method. People will use this method also. Right? Very commonly used is a straight line method. Next is called a double decline method. This is the formula for double decline method. 2 by n to C minus book value of the previous year. C is your original cost. N is your number of value. Book value of a previous year. Book value at the end of a given year, that's a BV. That's a -1 means previous year. So let's see the same example, 10,000, 5 year, 2,900 is a residual value, 2 by 5, because n is a 5 year, 10,000 is a first year, 0, previous year value is 0. So then your calculated depreciation amount is 4,000. Let's say it's a calculated 4,000 means you can take it allowable, so 4,000. So take it next year, 2 by 5, 10,000 minus the previous year value you have taken as a 4,000, that you can take it here. That's the 10,000 minus 4,000. So then you will have a calculated amount is 2,400. So if you take it the full 2,400, you will minus of 2,400 from your initial value. Similarly, for third year, if you calculate, you can see the calculated amount of depreciable amount is a 1,440. But you cannot depreciate because you have already 6,400, right? The maximum you can depreciate is the difference, 10,000 minus 2,900, 7,100 only the total amount of depreciable amount you should get it. So 7,100 minus this 6,400. So that gives you 700. So though the calculated amount is 1,440, but you cannot depreciate it because of residual value is 2,100. That means total depreciable amount only 7,100 you can get. So because of that, the third year depreciable value is 700. So fourth year and fifth year, there is no depreciation. What does it mean here? By using a DDB method, the first 3 year only the asset will be depreciated. Fourth year onwards, it will be write off from the book. Write off means the book value we can remove. It can remove that asset value in your company book at all, because it can depreciate it out the value from the book. So that's what they're telling about write off from the book. At the end of third year, this particular asset will be removed. So maybe you will have an advantage also, because if you are going to use that particular asset in your project, right? If you have already used up or depreciated the 3 year, fourth year onwards, if you are going to use that equipment for any project or any customer or anything, the cost wise you can't, you no need to count it because it's already depreciated out from your company book. But this is what a real cost accounting practice. But in a project estimation basis, they will include it, because they will say about anyhow we are going to use it 1 day or 2 day or 5 day, whatever it is, they will include. But matter of negotiation, they can negotiate it, that cost they can utilize. But when you come to the accounting practice, the company has no value of that particular asset in that book, so you no need to include that cost. But if the equipment is having a good condition, then you can include it in your estimation, but later stage it will help you in the negotiation stage, it will help you. So that's the advantage of using DDB method. The DDB method, even though life period is 5 years, I no need to wait until end of 5 years. I can depreciate the whole asset at the end of third year itself for this particular example. The second method is called SOYD, sum of year digit. That's another. Yeah.
Just the previous step.
Yeah.
In the third step, the first 2 steps are straightforward. When you did the third step, You got this $1,440. But the $700 you got it. My understanding is 10,000 minus your salvage value $2,900. That is $7,100.
Yep.
$7,100 minus the 4,000 minus 2,400. That is
exactly.
your $700.